because that's what we're really here for. I teach a lot of salespeople how to use LinkedIn to sell, which is a very different experience from marketing. All the content you've learned from me over this past year has mostly been driven towards the marketing side of the house. And we heard that on day one, the difference between marketing and sales. And so we're going to talk about selling on LinkedIn, selling you to your next gig. I call it give before asking. When you send a connection request, when you send an email, a phone call, a business card, you are making an ask from somebody that you are going to have a relationship with, and already you're at the disadvantage. You've asked for them to open the email, asked for them to make a calendar invite, asked for them to accept the connection request, asked. And it's just slid you down in that fulcrum of relationship where you're at the negative. Let's flip that. Let's turn it into a give before we ask. Here's how you do that. The first way is super easy. Go like their content. If you've identified a prospect, somebody who hires for an event planner or something, and you want to be in that event, go find their content on LinkedIn and like it. They're going to get notified that you liked their content. It's a good, easy start. And so it's a way of doing that. But let's talk about commenting, because commenting is the secret weapon of LinkedIn. Commenting is how you build your brand. Commenting is how you get your next gig. Commenting is how you get your next business. Commenting, not creating content and having all your NSA friends go comment on it. That's going to increase your exposure, but not probably drive new business significantly. So let's talk about commenting. When you comment on LinkedIn, it's radically different than the other social media platforms. Because on LinkedIn, every comment you make is lifted up and placed in front of your audience. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, it doesn't do that. When I comment on one of your posts, Larry Long throws up an Instagram video. Do you do that on Instagram, Larry? I think so. I don't know where Larry went. Yeah. So if I go comment on that, I'm commenting to Larry. I'm not really worried about who's listening. But on LinkedIn, if I go comment on a post, if I go comment on Elena's post, LinkedIn's going to take my comment and put it in front of my audience. Which means we need to rethink the way we're commenting. Because the throwaway Instagram comment or Facebook comment is shortchanging our opportunity of branding ourselves as a speaker and a person of influence with something to say. All right? Check out these comments. Congrats. Oh, you recognize some of them. Congrats, you should, because they're yours. Congrats, easy solution, amazing, awesome, thanks for sharing. What have we learned from these comments? Zero. Not a thing. Instead, if it said, congrats, having worked with you in the past and having the opportunity of seeing your work, this recognition is well earned. I know that in the past when I was at your event and I had the chance of speaking to you last year, this was something that stood out. Very well done. Congratulations. Or, easy solution for something impacting all of us. In my experience, as I stand on stage, I've recognized that what you've just shared has the opportunity of having an impact on the audiences that I talk to. Thanks for sharing this. It's been such a great insight, and I look forward to more content from you. Those comments are going to be put in front of my audience. Now, what does my audience learn about this? I'm a public speaker, and what I'm talking about, and I have something to add to the conversation. And guess what? If the person I'm commenting on responds, her comment or their comment gets picked up and put in front of their audience with my comment. I suddenly now have access to that prospect's contacts throughout LinkedIn, simply through the art of a comment. So let's get away from the awesomes, good to knows, thanks for sharing, because they're not doing anything for us. We need to understand that every comment we make on LinkedIn is building our brand and driving people towards the idea that we have something of value to say and that we need to be in front of their group to say it at their next opportunity. Okay? No more of this. Here's how you craft a comment. First of all, you start by acknowledging the author. If Denise Hamilton was making a post about ChatGPT, I would go to that post and I would say, @Denise Hamilton. And it's going to pop up. You know what I'm talking about, right? We know how to tag somebody. I'm now going to backspace over Hamilton because I want it to appear that I'm just talking to Denise. And now I'm going to say, Denise, you make an excellent point. In your top 10 reasons how to use ChatGPT for a public speaker, I really liked point number 5. Here's why. I can see how this point would have a huge impact on the audience and be able to allow a speaker to use this tool to engage. You got the point. I then would go ahead and add my own insights. In my experience, as I present on stage to my audience of technology companies and salespeople, I have also used something that you just shared. And I can see how your 10 points will help me be better at presenting at my next conference with my audience. This was a great post. Thanks for sharing it, Denise. That comment is being lifted out and placed in front of my audience. Now, why did I tag her? She's going to get notified that Richard commented on her post. I tagged her not necessarily for her benefit or for my benefit, but now the audience who's listening can hover over Denise's name in my comment, and it'll pop up her picture, her name, and her headline. If they want to see who I'm talking to, they just click on it and they go straight to her profile. This allows me, if I'm engaging with the CEO of a large tech company, and I say, at Peter, you make an excellent point, blah, 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 and Peter responds, people are like, who's Peter talking to? Or who's Richard talking to? He's talking to the CEO of a billion-dollar company. And then the CEO's talking back. It allows an instant validation of the person I'm talking to and allows them to go see who that individual is. So I always try to tag them in the front. Okay, here's an example. This is a silly little example. Jennifer from the New York Times made a post about Wordle when New York Times bought Wordle. I'm like, okay. She made a post. She's not a client. There's no connection here. There's a third-degree connection. But I went and made a comment. And my comment talks about in today's digital-first world, what's the name of my book? Digital First. Digital engagement, that's my thing. And then I talk about video versus text and everything. And then it was just a comment. I mean, this was my comment. That's a pretty substantial comment. Oh, by the way, I got 40 likes on my comment. Half as many as she did. And it was her post. I got 8 comments on my comment. I was able to use someone else's conversation to drive my own conversation and show up in front of her audience and my audience with my own spin and narrative. I didn't have to go invent it myself. If I wanted to, another thing that you're able to do with these comments is, I've got a client that's into microwave transmissions in the aerospace industry. I don't know about you. I know nothing about microwave transmissions in the aerospace industry. If you have a chance to meet Greg Von Williams, Greg, where you at? You're in there he is. Greg works for Space Force. Not the Netflix series, the really Space Force. He might know something about microwave transmissions for the aerospace. I don't. But my client posts something that I really don't understand. What do? I cut and paste it. I throw it into ChatGPT, and I say, please describe to me the relevance that this would have on this audience. And I ask it about the audience that I want to influence, that I feel would have something to say, interested in this. It's now going to tell me, first of all, what I didn't understand, and it's going to tell me how it applies to an audience I do understand. And now I can act as the middle person and begin to massage that in the way I want to say it. So boom, I can create a post or a comment based on content coming from my client, even though I have very little to know what they're saying. I'm not putting myself off as an expert on their technology. What I'm putting myself off on, though, is somebody who can take that complex idea and understand how to communicate it to my audience. So this is how you can continue to use ChatGPT. We use ChatGPT every day. When it came out, I had been playing with it. I introduced it to Shep and Dennis and a few others before it came out in November. So we'd been playing with it. And when it came out, I turned to my team and I said, we are going to triple production of what we do. We provide a lot of consulting and training and content for tech executives and their teams. We're going to triple production, and then we're going to reduce the amount of time it takes us to do it by days. So I dramatically, it was almost like I got on a team call. I have a member of my team here. Claire, where are you? There she is in the back. Claire's a member of my team, and so she and some of the other team members were told that day, go learn this right now, and I expect you to have some mastery over it by the end of the week so we can start using it to support our clients. And we were able to triple our output overnight, simply by, now this one I wrote, but you saw with the Elena example. Okay, here's another example. John's a prospect. He makes a post about cybersecurity. Danielle's wanting to get in front of John. She doesn't know John, so she makes a comment on John's post that's twice as long as John's post. Who of you put content on LinkedIn hoping nobody sees it? If somebody commented like this on one of your posts, would you notice? Absolutely. Danielle gave to John when nobody else was, and the conversation started between her and John. These two young ladies work for me, Leah and Kira. I sent them to a tech conference in Las Vegas. It went okay. They had never been to a tech conference in Las Vegas. They did very well. But before we went, because they registered, we had a list of the attendees. And they identified that 80 of the attendees were prospects, companies that we could do business with. So for the next 2 weeks, all they did was comment and comment and comment. They didn't mention the conference, nor did they ask for a connection request or any kind of email or anything. They just commented. When they walked in onto the conference, slightly bigger than this one, they walked up to those 80 individuals. They did not have to introduce themselves to those individuals. They reintroduced themselves. I'm Leah, I'm Kira. Yes, I know who you are. And 79 of the 80 immediately accepted the connection request on the spot. Number 80, why didn't he? Because he said, oh, here's my business card. She's like, let me just connect with you on LinkedIn. I don't really have a business card. Young millennial woman. A significantly different demographic of individual who she was talking to. I'm trying to be politically correct here. He basically was a white guy over 50. And he said, I'm sorry, young lady, but business cards are really important to your business. And when you learn to use business cards to grow your business, why don't you reach out to me then, and then we can do business. Okay, Leah happens to be my oldest daughter, okay? Did I get an earful when she reported on how it went? She's like, scratch him off the list. We are never talking to that man again. Unbelievable that he would actually do that. But so there's 79 of the 80 accepted it. Then what happened was, they got back to the office, 22 of the 79 immediately accepted a request to have a meeting to do business to talk about our services for their company. 22 of the 80 that we had approached. That's a pretty good number. When they said sales is all about numbers, that's a pretty good number. And so my team was very excited about that. They were so excited, hey, can we go to another conference in Las Vegas? When's the next one? No. Let's close business first. Here's something you can try. Many of you, I've shared this with you. I would ask that for the next 5 days, today is Sunday, over this next week, you focus on one thing. I want you to leave 3 comments a day on 3 different individuals. And I want those comments to be your colleagues here at NSA, but people in the industries you're trying to influence, and then just third-degree connections like I did with the New York Times. Find other conversations to participate in. You can do that by doing a search on LinkedIn, looking at LinkedIn news. There's a wide variety of ways you can do that. Now, if you do this, and some of you have seen this slide because one of my clients took my advice. Here's 90 days of the people looking at their profile. Reshare, 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 reshare. Stop resharing and commented only for a week. They got more people to look at their profile in a week than had in the previous 90 days combined, simply because they participated in other people's conversations. That's one of the key ways of building your brand and getting in front of your audience.